Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis, preventing tunnel vision and allowing quick target acquisition in awkward shooting positions. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
Welcome back to Gun Talk. Our number here, 866-TALK-GUN, will get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Of course, we talk about the election all of the time these days, and one of the outfits that's really in the forefront of kind of educating people and getting the word out is the National Shooting Sports Foundation, NSSF. Joining me right now is Larry Keane. He is, Larry, give me that title again, please.
I'm the Senior Vice President, Assistant Secretary, and General Counsel.
Holy cow, that's a lot. You do a lot around there.
And on Wednesday, I put the garbage out.
As it should be, right? That's what we all do.
That's right.
You and I have talked about, good Lord, we go back a couple of decades on this, and this is, how do you put it, a unique election year?
I think this is the most unusual election cycle, I think, that I've seen in my lifetime.
Well, now, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, you have a website called gunvote.org, and it is essentially encouraging people who are into guns, like guns, support the Second Amendment, to essentially vote their sport. Is that basically what we're talking about here?
The Gun Vote campaign is a voter registration, education, and mobilization effort by the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which, as your listeners know, is the Firearms Industries Trade Association. And the goal and the purpose is to do just that, to get gun owners, hunters, target shooters, sportsmen to register to vote, and then to become educated and informed about where the candidates stand on Second Amendment issues, on wildlife conservation issues, and the issues that are important to gun owners, hunters, and sportsmen. And then, armed with those facts, on Election Day, to go to the polls and gun vote.
Well, people are voting right now. I mean, in many states, it's happening right now.
That's right. Increasingly, you have early voting and absentee ballots, and that's beginning now in several states. It varies from state to state, but it's begun, and increasingly, more and more people take advantage of early voting. So that has caused us to run the campaign earlier and earlier in the year. And
this is not just about the people running for the White House, at least as much about Congress this year.
Oh, very much so. And people should become educated about where the candidates stand on Second Amendment issues from the White House down to City Hall. Obviously, there's a very stark contrast between the two candidates running for president. You have Hillary Clinton on the one hand, who has said of the Supreme Court's Heller decision that it was a terrible decision, that the Supreme Court, quote, got it wrong on the Second Amendment. So she clearly wants to, and we know that the next president will put at least one in the deciding vote on the Supreme Court, and probably as many as 3, maybe potentially 4 Supreme Court justices. But the next one, who replaces Justice Scalia, who authored the Heller decision, will tip the balance of the Supreme Court. And as we say, the Heller decision was a McDonald decision that applied the Second Amendment to the states. Were both decided on a Supreme Court vote of 5-4. So one vote stands between you and your Second Amendment rights, and that's your vote.
So, I mean, the choice may not be, and frankly, it may not be palatable, but it is clear. And as I always say, every election, I say, look, Mr. or Mrs. Perfect is not running. We just take the better of the choices that we have, and that's what we're doing. But, one thing I was going to ask you, we hear a lot of candidates that will stand up and say, well, I support the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment. But if you start asking a little bit more deeply, you find out it's the old, well, I support the Second Amendment, but... And then they start throwing but we ought to have more background checks. But we ought to have this. But we ought to say that even if you've never been charged with a crime or tried or convicted, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun if some secret agency puts you on a secret list.
Exactly. And so you list, just take, for example, Hillary Clinton. She says, all those things I just mentioned, that Heller was wrongly decided, the Supreme Court got it wrong, it's a terrible decision, et cetera. When she's been asked by reporters on TV, for example, do you want to repeal the Second Amendment? She says, oh, no, I don't want to repeal the Second Amendment. And that's literally true. And, of course, she couldn't herself, as president, repeal the Second Amendment. What she wants to do is completely gut the meaning of the Second Amendment as interpreted by the Supreme Court in the Heller decision. She wants the Heller decision reversed so that the court, and she wants to pack the court with anti-gun justices like the President Obama's nominee, Judge Garland, so that they would reinterpret Heller, they would reverse Heller and say, no, the Second Amendment, while the text of the Second Amendment doesn't change, what it means changes, and it does not provide an individual right to keep and bear arms, that when it says the right of the people, it doesn't mean actually the people, which is what the Supreme Court said in Heller. Mm-hmm. People means individuals, and the individual has a right to keep and bear arms. So it's very nuanced, and you have to pay attention to what the meaning of what they're saying. So yes, if you could reverse Heller, the Second Amendment would still exist in the Bill of Rights. It just wouldn't mean you have an individual right to keep and bear arms. What flows from that? Every single gun control measure that they would try to put through Congress would stand up to a challenge, right? You wouldn't have an individual right. And, the Senate has a role in the Constitution with respect to the Supreme Court. They have to confirm the president's nominee. So imagine a Senate run by Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, hardcore anti-Second Amendment, pro-gun control senator running the Senate, controlled by the Democrats. That would enable her to put anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment justices on the Supreme Court. The next one tips the balance of the court for generations,
right?
For many, many decades. And then if you get several more, the court will veer to the left very significantly in this country for many decades. I
well remember sitting in the Fifth Circuit when the Emerson case was being argued, and the lawyers for the U.S. government stood there, and one of the judges said, are you saying that your interpretation of the Second Amendment is that you must be a member of the National Guard in order to be able to own a gun? He says, oh, no, sir. Being in the National Guard isn't nearly enough. You would only be able to own a gun or have a gun if you're in the National Guard if it's issued to you. No one else in the country has a right to own a gun under the Second Amendment. And that's the Clintonian view, is no one has a right to own a gun. Only the state has a right to have guns.
This is the single most important election in the history of the firearms industry. I mean, you hear politicians say all the time, Tom, this is the most important election. It just happens to be true this time. It really, truly is. For anybody who was around, and most of your listeners were, what took place in the 1990s with the Clinton administration, the attack on the firearms industry, the lawsuits against the industry by major cities started and was run out of the White House by people like Rahm Emanuel and then HUD Secretary, now Governor of New York, Cuomo. And, this was an all-out concerted effort to destroy the Second Amendment and to bankrupt and destroy the firearms industry, which would make the Second Amendment an illusion, even if the Heller decision stands, if there is no industry to make the products. They will go for the assault weapons ban, the so-called assault weapons ban again. We see efforts that are going on right now in Massachusetts, for example, where the Attorney General just took it upon herself to rewrite the law.
Hey, Larry, hold on just a second here. You just said something I want everybody to understand because it may be the crux of what we're talking about. We need a little bit more time for that. So just hold that thought. We'll come back to that. We're talking with Larry Keane from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Our number here is 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham, and you're listening to Gun Talk.
The
XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with the compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
When it's all on the line, you can count on Trijicon Optics. Earning its reputation in combat and on hunts in all corners of the world, Trijicon comes through. The new AccuPower rifle scopes feature battery-powered illuminated reticles, variable power, adjustable brightness, plus they're waterproof. The years of waiting, the dollars spent, your hunt of a lifetime comes down to a single moment. Get Trijicon quality. Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
Want to customize the look of your firearm and give it ultimate durability? Well, don't paint it, Cerakote it. Cerakote is a spray-on ceramic polymer coating that uses state-of-the-art technology to achieve superior abrasion resistance and corrosion protection. Field-proven and trusted by manufacturers and gun owners like you, Cerakote is the industry's unmatched performance leader. In lab testing and real-world applications, Cerakote outperforms the competition every time. See for yourself and find a local certified applicator near you at Cerakote.com. Choose the best. Choose Cerakote and finish strong.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
What's important in a gun safe? Security, reliability, safety, good looks? It all comes down to quality. Quality that's built in from the beginning. Liberty Safe has made quality products for 29 years right here in the USA. Trust your guns, your valuables, and your safety to Liberty Safe. Did you ever regret buying quality? I didn't think so. Get the best. Whatever your budget, get a Liberty Safe. LibertySafe.com.
All right, we're back with you here. Tom Gresham, it's Gun Talk, 866-TALK-GUN. We're visiting with Larry Keane from the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and we're talking about their website, gunvote.org. Before the break, Larry mentioned something that I said, we need a little more time for that. There are a lot of people who don't understand what you just said. Back in the 90s, there was an orchestrated effort on the part of cities to sue gun makers, essentially to put them out of business, to say, we're going to hold you responsible for the misuse of your product, even though you sold it legally, it was purchased legally, but someone later on misused it, so you're going to be held responsible. But you said something I want people to understand. While these suits were being brought by cities, the program, the whole overriding program, was run out of the White House.
That's correct. It was an unholy alliance between the Clinton administration, the gun control groups, like largely led at that time by the Brady Center, plaintiffs' lawyers, trial lawyers looking for a payday, and Democrat mayors and the Democratic Party run out of the White House by the people like Rahm Emanuel and Andrew Cuomo, and people like Eliot Spitzer and the whole, cabal of Democrat politicians from these big cities who were trying to bankrupt the industry. The solution to that became the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act that was passed and signed into law in 2005 by President Bush, and you heard a lot of discussion about that during the Democratic primary, for example, and you still hear it, that, this is the quote-unquote gun immunity, blanket immunity law that Hillary Clinton talked about, that even Bernie Sanders voted for when he was in the House of Representatives.
But Hillary says we got to get rid of it.
She wants to repeal that. Why? So they can bring back the frivolous junk lawsuits that were designed to bankrupt and destroy the firearms industry. That's what is at stake in this election. The future of the Second Amendment, as you understand it, as we know it, is at stake in this election.
It really is that simple. And it really is. We're down to barely 30 days at this point before the election, but people are voting, as I say, even right now. So I guess the deal is we don't have to ask questions about the presidential election, but we do when it comes to Congress or the Senate. Don't just listen to the commercials where they say he supports the Second Amendment, she supports the Second Amendment, she supports gun rights. Ask a few more questions. And the other thing is, and we have seen this a lot, Larry, just because somebody says, well, I'm a hunter, that does not mean support for the Second Amendment as we understand it.
We would hear that from Senator Kerry, for example. It's I support the Second Amendment. I have no problem with hunting, as if the Second Amendment exists so people can hunt. So be very, you have to dig deeper. You can't just take what they say at face value on either side of the aisle. And you have information that people can, basically find out more about this at the website gunvote.org. That's correct. You can find out where to register, and if you haven't done that yet, you really got to do that because registration is closing in many states. You won't be able to vote if you're not registered. That's step one. You can look up the candidates. You can find out where they stand and, find out what's going on in the polling. I mean, the election is going to come down, as it always does, to a few key battleground states. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't live in a battleground state, it is very important that you register to vote, that you get educated about where the candidates stand, again, from the White House to City Hall to your town council to, et cetera. And then on Election Day, or earlier, if you have early voting, you need to go to the polls armed with those facts and gun vote. And get all your buddies to go with you. Make it a voting party. Everybody goes together. You carpool, you go there, then you go out to lunch, and you celebrate voting. But get everybody together to make it happen. And if you're going to be out of town, get an absentee ballot. A lot of people, have off on Election Day, and they go hunting. Well, that's great, but go vote first or get an absentee ballot. All right, the website is gunvote.org from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Larry Keane, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to spend time with you, Tom. All right, Larry Keane, always a pleasure having Larry on the show. Let's go back to the phones. By the way, if you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Kevin's on line 3. Kevin, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, Tom, really enjoy your show.
You bet.
I wanted to ask your opinion on concealed carry insurance. Every now and then you hear a commercial about people advertising for that, and I just wondered if you had any thoughts or recommendations about concealed carry insurance.
I've had, I don't know if you'd call it insurance, but I'm a member of a group I guess it's kind of like insurance. It's we've all pooled together, and it's the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. Website is, let's see if I can get this up here, armedcitizensnetwork.org, armedcitizensnetwork.org. They have, by the way, when you go there, anybody would find this interesting. They have a deal that says, think it can't happen to you. It says, download our free 46-page PDF file telling the story of a Tucson, Arizona man assaulted in his own driveway by 3 people and the trials he endured defending against criminal charges the prosecutor pursued twice. It happens, it's almost a given that if you get into a self-defense situation, some hopped-up prosecutor is going to come after you, even if you don't shoot. Well, we just had a story 3 weeks ago of a guy who told a guy, says, I've got a gun here, you need to go away. And by the time it was over, this guy had called the police and said, this guy got out, pointed a gun at me, threatened to kill me, on and on and on. And none of it was true. But he got arrested and put in jail, and only because there was security cameras and he worked with the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. They brought in the right experts to help him. So that's what I do. I think it's probably smart, whether or not you actually conceal carry, even if you have a gun for self-defense, to have something that is going to help you with the legal defense. You need serious money, but more than that, and the thing I like about these guys is they come in really fast and get you hooked up with the right lawyer, because most lawyers are the wrong lawyer when it comes to this kind of stuff. And then they have experts like Marty Hayes and Masada Ayub and a bunch of other people who can come in and help, people who've been through this before. So I guess that's the long way around to say, yes, I believe it's a good idea. And look, I appreciate the call. Line 2, Mike's with us, Marshall, Texas. Hey, Mike, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
what y'all have not talked about, or at least I haven't heard y'all talk about, I may have missed it, is wasn't the original Bill of Rights written to enumerate the rights of citizens over and above the government?
Absolutely. In fact, what the Bill of Rights was is we had the Constitution, and the people looked at that and said, wait just a minute. We want to make a list of things that the government can't touch. We want a list of these are the areas where you got to keep your cotton picking hands off of them. And so the Bill of Rights is a list of things they said, you, the government, this new government we want to form, you can't mess around with these. And number 2 was the right to keep and bear arms. So you're exactly right. These are rights that were written to guarantee, not to grant. It's a great way to put it. I love the way you put that. They don't grant rights, the Bill of Rights. They guarantee pre-existing rights. Isn't that what you believe?
Yeah, and didn't they go to didn't Virginia write a Bill of Rights to begin with, and they more or less use that one as a guide?
You know, I'm now falling apart on my history, so I don't know. I'll have to take your word for it if that's how it came about. I should ask my wife, who teaches American history. So, but you may be right about that. But no, the Bill of Rights absolutely was a carve-out. And they said, it could be in the Federalist Papers, it was a carve-out that said, just so that you guys know, we want to make sure, it's like an addendum you put into a contract. We want to make sure this is covered. We want to make sure this is in writing, that you guys understand you can't mess with our First Amendment rights, with our right to free speech and to assemble and freedom of religion. We also, this government's not going to be able to mess around with our right to own guns, because having guns is how we're going to protect ourselves against you, the government. And that really makes people nervous in the government when you say that. That's why the Second Amendment was written. And then also, too, as we like to say, in addition to that, it allows us to protect ourselves individually and to protect our families. So, yes, that's exactly what it was. Bill of Rights were written to guarantee rights to the citizens. There's not a single thing in the Bill of Rights that grants or guarantees rights to the state, to the government. That was the exact opposite of what the Bill of Rights was all about. It was written so that we would tell the government, keep your cotton-picking hands off of these things. All right, when we come back, there's a brand new gun out, and we have the announcement for it right here. It's a concealed carry gun. You want to hear about this one.
Want your opinion to make a difference? Log on to our website and take the Gun Talk poll, www.guntalk.com. Now, once again, opinion page regular contributor for the Washington Times, here's Tom.
Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. 866 is the number here, 866-TALK-GUN. Or just dial one, Tom Talk Gun. Easy enough, okay? Over on Twitter, I'm at Gun Talk. Of course, follow us on Facebook. We have Gun Talk Media on Facebook, and that would be the way to get a hold of us there. And we're always putting up all sorts of news. And of course, we put up a new video of a new pistol that we could finally talk about. And joining me right now to talk about what they're up to, the folks from Ruger, I tell you, are unbelievable. Brandon Trevino is joining me right now. Brandon, you guys, it's like another week or another month, there's another gun from Ruger. Something's gotten into the water around that place, man.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's been 3 weeks and 3 major product launches just back to back to back for us. It's not always that way, but it's just how it worked out for us. We've had a number of platforms in development for a couple of years, and they all have just kind of come to fruition at the same time. So kind of exciting for us.
Well, run through them, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't know what you guys have introduced over the last 3 weeks. So let's just kick it off. Pick one.
Okay, well, the first one we introduced 3 weeks ago was the Ruger Mark IV. And I think that's probably one of my favorites. Just a cool pistol, We started out in 1949 with the Ruger Standard Auto Pistol, 22 caliber, the rimfire that we're known for. And over the years, there's been a number of improvements, but this is by far the biggest change to that platform that anybody's ever seen.
Well, exactly.
I think you're familiar with the one-button takedown.
I was just going to say that's the deal, is that everybody who's ever taken apart a Ruger semi-auto pistol, when you show them the one-button takedown, they go, "Oh my gosh, that's wonderful!"
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm watching some of the videos, people's response to it online, and some of the things that people have said on the blog sites are pretty funny too, about Ruger ending world profanity and Ruger cutting back by 2 million YouTube views per year.
Right? Yeah,
all
how to
the people who've had trouble over the years with the Mark III are really pleased, to see how easy it is to disassemble and clean the Mark IV. It's just incredible.
I mean, it quite literally takes
feature.
about.
We maintain the same classic styling on that gun.
Sure.
But there's a lot of improvements overall. I mean, the magazine ejection is a big feature on that gun as well. The CNC machined grip frame, everything being much tighter tolerances. I expect the Mark IV off the shelf will run like a customized Mark III. I mean, they're just incredible pistols.
Okay, but it takes 1 second to disassemble it. I'm not kidding. It takes 1 second, friends and neighbors, to take this gun apart. It's nuts is what it is. You got to go look at the videos. Okay, what else do you guys bring out?
Okay, so the next one we had out was the Ruger American Compact. So we introduced Ruger American pistols, I think, back in January last year. And, people have been waiting for the Compact. So it came out as a full-size duty gun. The Compact is out now. A little bit shorter, a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, more of a concealed carry option for you now. But all still with the same features of that full-size duty gun.
And you can use your full-size mags in it, right?
Yeah, so just like they do with the SR9 family in the 9 Compact, so you can put a 17-round magazine with the sleeve, that wraparound sleeve on it, and that will go into the compact frame. It gives you a full-size grip, just with, the advantage of the shorter barrel.
And what I like about that is you could have that as your daily carry gun with a smaller magazine. And then if you wanted to, when you got home, and that's your home gun, you put the full-size magazine with the little slider insert in there, and it feels exactly like a full-size grip. You can't tell the difference. And now you got more ammo and a gun that's just a little bit more shootable by virtue of having a bigger grip. So you have one gun for both uses. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that did really well for us, with the SR9 family, and that is a feature that includes both magazines with it, and, you can carry, you can conceal with the smaller magazine, and you can carry your backup, full-size magazine for extra ammo, and it works out really well. It's actually very shootable. I was just at an event recently where we had a lot of, first-time and unfamiliar shooters. We were introducing them to the new products and just kind of put them all out there and let people pick up and try the things that they wanted. And I didn't say anything, I just wanted to kind of stand back and watch. And it was really interesting watching, some newer shooters, young ladies, and shooting that Compact with just no problem. It really controls the recoil. It's got that nice recoil reducing cam, and also the lower center of gravity, that one-piece CNC machined chassis, really kind of lowers the weight and balances that gun out. It's really nice to see.
Let me step in here because you kind of went through that like these are talking points on something, but I want to emphasize something. And I've shot the compact version. Of course, I'm a huge fan of the Ruger American pistol. I shot the compact version, and you said something about the cam on that. And that sounds like, big deal. It's got a cam. I just want to tell people it's like magic, because this is one of the softest shooting pistols I have ever fired. Quite literally, the first round I fired from the gun, I just went bang, and I just stopped and went, oh my, that's different. I mean, it's that much difference. You've got, and I know people say, well, and Brandon, you can't actually change how much energy comes back at you, but what you do is you change the amount of time that where the energy is delivered, and so it feels softer by virtue of stretching the time out, right?
Yeah, that's the best description I've heard about it so far. I mean, that's exactly what we were trying to do. Is the physics is what it is. You can't change the amount of energy, but we are trying to do what we can to reduce the amount that you feel at any given time. So, very shootable. You get really good, follow-up shots. And I got to tell you, the other thing that was really fun about developing that gun was all the torture testing that we did. And you've probably seen some of the videos online. If not, you can look it up. But we buried that thing in the dirt. We froze it into a block of ice, dumped it in the snow, pulled it behind a truck. I mean, we did everything you could possibly do to that Ruger American pistol to make it fail. Yep. And, it kept running. It's
all right, hold on a second,
like
Brandon.
P-series, it's just overbuilt. It's tougher than it needs to be, and it does really well.
I don't want to say we've saved the best for last, but I want to take a break and come back because we just posted a video of me shooting this next one we're going to tell you about. And it's for a lot of people, it's going to be a game changer. If you want a really small pistol that's very shootable, we're going to talk about that, the newest thing from Ruger. Don't go far. We'll have that as soon as we come back.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
The Ruger LCRX is a variation of the LCR that features an external hammer, allowing it to be fired in single-action mode. The LCRX can also be fired in double-action mode. It features a monolithic frame made from aerospace-grade 7000 series aluminum, a patented Ruger friction-reducing cam that results in a smooth, non-stacking trigger pull, and a patent-pending polymer fire control housing that significantly reduces weight and helps reduce recoil. The Ruger LCRX Revolver, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
Accurate, powerful, consistent. At Double Tap Ammunition, we offer 364 loads in 83 calibers that give you exactly what you've been looking for. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
All right, back with the 866 Talk Gun. We'll get you in. We're talking with Brandon Trevino from Ruger about the incredible lineup of products they've been introducing. And we just released the video on this last one here. Brandon, you have redone and improved the ubiquitous, and I do mean that because everybody has one, LCP. What'd you do to it?
Quite a lot, actually. It's completely redesigned. We brought that gun out 10 years ago, the original LCP, and as you said, it became immensely popular. That gun is probably the most responsible for the shortage of .380 ammo, because, like you said, everybody owns one or two or three of them. But we redesigned it. The main thing that we wanted to do was address, some of the things that the customers were telling us, and that number one is the trigger pull. So we went from a double action only LCP to what is now a single action LCP2. And that trigger pull is it's so much lighter, but more importantly, it's just a short, crisp pull. There's no, the double action pull, you know what that feels like. And this one is just so much easier to shoot.
And then in order to take advantage of that, you did the other thing, which is you put much better sights on it.
Yeah, exactly. And, again, it was really intended to have, the original sights were very rudimentary. It was just a backup gun, short distance, self-defense. We didn't think people would be taking it out and target shooting with it, but who can resist, right? I mean, that's natural. That's what you do when you get a new gun, you go out and you put it on paper and you see what what kind of groups you can achieve. So, yeah, we put better sights on it. Now it has a low glare sight, kind of a wide notch rear, and a much more visible front sight. And between that and the trigger, you can really get some groups on paper. And then the other thing is just to make it more comfortable. We probably added about an 1/8 inch on each side of the grip. And just having a little bit more surface area back there helps to spread out the recoil. It makes it more comfortable in your hand. So just like you were saying with the American, physics is what it is. You can't reduce the amount of energy, but you can spread it out a little bit more, and you can make it more comfortable for the shooter, and that's what we did.
Well, and you've got kind of a texturing on the side panels, and then you also have a finger extension on the magazine itself, and that, I'll tell you, it aids in the shooting. We already put the video up on YouTube if people want to go see me shooting this gun, but this is no longer just a belly gun. This is a real self-defense gun. There's no problem at all, 7 to 15 yards, clustering your shots together with this gun now.
Yeah. In fact, just for fun, I tried clearing the plate rack with it, and the gun is capable. It can do it.
Here's a question. Jim asked, can you use the mags from your previous, the LCP, on the LCP2? Yeah, you can. So magazines are forward and backward compatible, but the new LCP2 has another feature, which is a last round hold open. So that magazine was redesigned for the last round hold open. You don't get that with the LCP original magazines, but they will function. Okay. And then the +1 magazine is another. We're going to be bringing out a new +1 magazine that'll be just for the LCP2. That's not out yet. Okay. Now, the LCP2, for those who didn't catch it, it does slide locks back after the last round if you're using the new mags that are designed for the LCP2, correct? That's correct. Yep. Okay. And, these are shooters. Now, let me ask you, we're in the middle of, a crazy political season and everything else. And Ruger, I guess, made the announcement at SHOT Show last year on Gun Talk Radio when Mike was talking about the effort to contribute to the NRA ILA. How's that going? It seems like you guys keep pushing that and increasing the numbers. Yeah, that was incredibly successful. Mike made a really bold commitment, 2 million guns between from NRA show to NRA show, so that was May to May. And we would donate $1 for each gun, and our distributors would match that. So we donated $4 million to the NRA, and Mike has just extended that to a 2.5 million gun challenge. Wow. If we can sell another 500,000 guns by his deadline, then we will have a $5 million contribution to the ILA. It's phenomenal. Just incredible what Ruger has been doing. Brandon, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Ruger just keeps cranking out great products. If you want to see more about it, go to Ruger.com. Also look on our website, look for Gun Talk on YouTube. You can see the videos that we're doing as we shoot these. Yeah, we get them a little bit ahead of time. Can't tell you about them, but we get them a little ahead of time so we can shoot the videos and get them out. What do you think? Would you like an improved itty-bitty 380? Would you carry that as your primary gun? 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk. And we're back. Going straight to the phones. Line 1 is Leo out of Bodfish, California. Leo, what's on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to hopefully, thank you for having your program, but also to get people to really think and self-examine themselves and look at this binary life that we have. We got to choose between good and evil, and get back to basics, like what the World War II generation, great generation had, and their moral compass and their ethics. Where our schools actually still proclaimed, how America was established, and it was based on, the Declaration of Independence and the Creator God of this universe, and the Constitution that we live by. But we've looked at what's right in our own eyes instead of what's there back where founding fathers had, and just get right back to that. And that's why I get frustrated with talking with a few people about this election. And I tell them, the sky isn't perfect. I'm not, and you're not, but you got to look at the binary life, good versus evil. Who's the evil? And you look at the lives.
Well, Leo, let me ask you here, because I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this, and I'm just not catching it at all. What are you saying? Bottom line it for me.
A lot of it is our education system, how it's changed and brainwashed, our society.
No. I get that. What are you saying about the election? Are you saying we shouldn't vote for one or the other? What are you saying?
Vote and make that determination based on a moral compass, a true moral compass, where you had World War II generation, and the great generation they had is in God we trust, and yes is yes, and no is no. Where we get back to basics, and looking at the Hillary side, that it's a lot of evil has occurred, all the way from what I could tell back in the 90s, with the Clinton, just the Clinton history of what and the cover-ups and stuff that's been going on.
You mean how they set out to destroy people and they destroy lives, and they accuse the rapist of being, crazy, as or rape victims rather, of being crazy and covering up for Bill. She's been the orchestrator of his entire political career, and everything she's done has led her to this. This is what she's always wanted. She had to take an 8-year hiatus after Barack Obama beat her, but this is all she's ever wanted, and will do anything to anyone to get this. And we've seen it going back 30 years. To your point, Leo. So, if you're talking about morality, the idea that she would, have the bimbo patrol out there, and anytime Bill is, doing whatever he's doing, I can't even say the stuff, with the women that he did, and they would come forward and say, hey, I was raped by Bill Clinton, then she would send out the destroyers, and they would work on the reputation, the character, assassination, basically just denigrate, marginalize, and make it go away by, trying to destroy these women. That's not amoral, that's immoral. And I'm absolutely there with you, Leo. I appreciate the call. It gives me a chance to at least touch on that. And I know people say, well, Trump should say, Bill did worse. I don't think that has any traction. It feels good. It feels like you're doing something. I don't actually think it has any traction. I don't think it makes anybody want to vote for him. I think what he's got to do is do what we used to call the bump and run in politics. You go, yes, I said that. Yes, I shouldn't have. Yes, I'm sorry. But we really ought to be talking about more important stuff here than the words that I use. We ought to be talking about, where we are with this country, about the Supreme Court, about immigration. We ought to be talking, and just do the bump and run. Hit it, apologize, get away from it. Now, I know they're not going to want to let him do that in this debate tonight, but if he has good advisors, and if he's willing to listen to them, that's what he would do. Redirect it in the direction that's going to help him. Be right back.